Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Italian Vegan and another live cooking class. Today, we'll be doing a lovely risotto with sage, asparagus, and red wine. And also, I'll show you a nice way of doing hummus, which doesn't include any fat whatsoever. So if you are on a diet, or intending to go on one, it's something that you can have very easily, as much as you want to. Okay, just again, a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, this is a Zoom meeting, so intending to be all involving. So if you want to ask any questions, please interrupt me at any time and ask the questions, and I will answer you live. Obviously, you're muted at the moment. Can you just confirm that you can hear me okay, and there are no problem with the audio. And if you want to ask any questions, you can either sorry, Katrina, interrupted me.
Everybody's saying good morning. So Evelyn says buongiorno tutti, good morning everyone, muy buenos dias Senores, and Catherine says yes. So
buongiorno. Okay, buongiorno a tutti, as I say in Italy. So good morning, everyone. Yes, what I was saying is that if you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself by clicking on your image and toggling the mute and mute button, and then ask your question, and then mute yourself again. Otherwise, there is a lot of noise in the background. Or you can type the question in the chat box, and Katerina was doing the cameraman today, can read it to me and I'll answer it. Okay.
Carol says good morning too, and she can
good morning, Carol. I hope that you can. I know that you had some problems booking the ticket. Hopefully, obviously now everything's okay. But for all of you, just in case you have problems with Eventbrite for any of the events, just send me a message a couple of hours before the event starts, and if you can't get on, and then I'll send you the Zoom link directly. Okay?
Luca, when I tried to get on.
So let's go through the ingredients. First of all, we're doing risotto, so you will need the risotto rice. I'm using Carnaroli. Can you see it, Caterina?
Yeah.
I'm using Carnaroli risotto. There are two main types of risotto rice that are easily available here in the UK. One is this one, which is Carnaroli, which is my favorite, and yeah. And the other one is Arborio, which is probably the one that's the more well-known. There are other varieties of rice that are used for different dishes, but they're difficult to find outside of Italy. I prefer the Carnaroli because it stays a little bit more al dente. But if you're cooking a risotto and want it to be very, very creamy, then Arborio is creamier. Okay, so we'll be using this risotto, and we'll need. Sorry, question?
No, Carol says Luca was sad it would not let me buy a ticket for good.
Oh, I don't know why. I mean, I checked after I read your email. Carol said that she couldn't buy a ticket for good. I checked on the Eventbrite page on the details, and it all seems to be okay. So I don't know what the issue was with that. But I will double check it for next week. Anyway, so we will need, depending on how many people you're cooking for, I'll be using 320 grams, which are enough for 2 people as a main meal, or 3 to 4 as a starter. Generally, when you are cooking either pasta or rice or risotto, depending on how you want to cook your dinner, if it is as a main course, generally, so if you're having mainly just that, allow about 150 grams per person. But if it is one of 2 or 3 or 4 courses, then obviously you need a lot less. So I would say 80 to 100 grams per person if it is part of a multi-course meal. So today, in the thing I'm doing with you, I'll be using 320 grams. I'll weigh in a moment. Then we will need an onion. I'm using a red onion because it's kind of slightly nicer for this dish, but if you've got a normal onion, you can use that as well. Okay, then we'll need 400 grams of asparagus pears. Okay, and I'll show you what to do with them in a minute. And then, as it's a risotto, we'll need some stock. So we'll be using some. I'm using here some stock cubes. You know, whatever you can you have. You know, if you have a stock powder or red liquid stock, but it's obviously vegetable stock I'll be using. And then we need some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Obviously, we'll need some red wine. Use any red wine will do, as long as it's dry. Okay, so use one day. Obviously, use an Italian one, please. Okay, because this is an Italian cooking class. Okay, and for the hummus instead, we'll need chickpeas. I'll be using this time to do something quickly. I'm using a tin of chickpeas. I've just opened it and drained them, and I kept the cooking water, the actual water in the tin, because we might need a little bit of it. So this is the content of one tin. I've got two there because I've actually never used tins. I normally use cook my own chickpeas, but I just need to experiment a little bit with the quantities. Generally, when I do it, I have one of these bowls that is full. Generally, it's about 400 grams. These are 280 grams each. So what I'll do in a minute, I will weigh in front of you, because I want to know how much. Because I know my quantities, but I do it by eye, so I don't really measure anything. So to make sure that you get it right, just as I do, I will weigh everything. Okay, so I've got 2 tins of chickpeas. As you can see, I kept the water in the tins. Okay, so just in case we needed to soften a little bit the hummus. We will need the juice of 1 lemon. Some garlic. This is to taste, as much or as little as you want. We like a lot of garlic in this house, so I'll be using quite a bit. But if you don't do, you find just with one or two cloves of garlic. And then the other main ingredient is chia seeds. Okay, and I will show you what to do with them in a minute as well. Okay, and I want to show you a lot of things that you can do with chickpeas and with hummus. So I'll show you the way of doing it completely without any fat whatsoever, so which is kind of like a diet hummus. But also, if you want to make it a little bit more tasty, then you can add a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of sesame oil as well. And the finishing touch at the end, we will use a little bit of smoked paprika, or paprika as we say in Italy. Okay. Okay. So let's. I will talk a bit at the end of the cooking class. I will talk a little bit more about the bread that we started talking about last week. Okay. So the first thing I would like you to do. Let me just get my scales. Okay, first of all, we just get the chia seeds going because we will need to. I will just get a bowl. Where are my glasses? Okay, so let's measure up. Let's say I normally do these things completely without weighing, so let's be scientific today. And I use about, I think it's about 60 grams. Use one of these things. It's about 45, it says here about 45 grams. Let's see if we can make it 50 without. Okay, we got exactly 50 grams of chia seeds. Okay. We can put that away. We won't need these anymore. Okay, and then we use, I use this container. So as much as you use three times the amount of water. Okay. So obviously we use 50 grams. So we use 150 ml of water. So 3 of these. Okay. So this is for later, by the way. This is for the hummus, but we need to get it going. So what we do, we got the chia seeds and the water. We just mix them and we leave them aside to do their magic. And I will show you later on what happens. Okay. So let's get started with the risotto then. So the first thing that we do, boil a kettle of water. So about 1.5 liters should be enough. So I've got a full kettle here, so I will boil it, and we'll get going with our onion. And this is quite a large onion, so I'll be using about half of it. I'll not use all of it. Again, I'll peel it back. As you by now you should know this technique. To give us a nice handle. I will talk about the chia seeds. Yeah, I will share it. Katrina was saying to share what happened with the chia seeds. I'll talk about it in a moment once I show you exactly what happens with them when you add water. Okay. In a moment, cut the onion really as thinly as you can. Okay. We don't really want it. We want to taste it a bit, but we don't want to chew on it. So it really should disappear during cooking. Okay. And my handle now can be thrown away. Okay, so we've got the onion ready. I say the kettle is boiling now, so I'll just put the hot water in a pan. I'll add my my stock to the pan, stock cubes. So three stock cubes are enough for 1.5 liter of water. One stock cube does approximately about 500 ml of water. If you once they completely dissolve, we can taste it as well and see if we need to add any more salt. But I don't normally, because these are they are salty enough. Okay, once you've got your stock cubes in there, we give them a nice stir in a moment, but we will just put it on a smallest hob on a very low heat. But we just want to keep it simmering, so that when we add it to the risotto, it's nice and hot, because we don't want to stop the cooking process. So we mix them well. So we got a pronto, a nice ready-made stock. You could make your own stock if you want, but that will add about an hour of cooking. So I'll pass on that. Okay, we can start putting the onions in the pan that we use for the risotto. Let me show you the pan. So I use a pan with the high side, because obviously the rice will absorb a lot of water. So you need to have quite a roomy one. If you don't have one, you can use the kind of like a pasta pan, so like a bigger one, but it needs to be quite wide. Okay. So I have my onions in there. Okay, that's number one. I can cover this at the moment, I don't need it. Before I progress any further and start cooking the onions, let's weigh the rice. Okay, it comes in a nice, as you say, a nice sealed airtight pack, and I'll be using one of these. Can you hear as it's watertight, the air is getting in now, you're hissing. So you can adjust the quantities if you're cooking for more people. I'll be using 320 grams, which are enough for the, oops, I'm going to be overboard. Put it too much in there.
Yes, Steve.
Okay.
Oh, what's that? Yeah.
320 grams there.
That's the dead one. There's another one that isn't corroded. It's beside me somewhere. I'm sure it's probably. Oh, it's here.
Okay, so that these are ready for when I need to add the rice.
That's the corroded one.
And now we will
That's the
prepare
one that probably doesn't
the
work. You see, the corroded one's just got the edge. I was trying to put a screensaver on this stuff.
Asparagus spears. So the first thing we want to do is we want to cut the tips, because these we'll use later on in cooking. Okay, so put that, little. Just reserve the tips.
Wendy has just entered the waiting room. Could you just recap on a few things?
Yeah, are you letting in? Okay, hi, Katrina just said that Wendy just came in. Apart from talking about what we're doing today and the ingredients that I'm using, so far I will just put like a 1.5 liter of hot water in this pot, and added about 3 stock cubes to make the stock that we'll need to cook the risotto. And then I've taken like a red onion like this one, and I've used half, because this is quite large, I've used half of it. If you're using a smaller one, you can use it all. And I've sliced it, cut it very finely, and it's in the pan. So I've done nothing else so far. Oh yes, the other thing we've done is we have taken some chia seeds, and we put 50 grams of chia seeds in a bowl, and 3 times that amount of water. Okay, and there is nothing else in here, so just the chia seeds and water.
And she says sorry for being late, but she hasn't missed very much. So
exactly, Wendy, don't worry, you haven't missed much. So those are the 2 things that we've done, and we're now preparing the asparagus. So the first thing we want to do is just like, we don't really want to use the really hard part at the bottom, so you cut that off. we want to use this is good, but this is not. So we take away the hard bits. You can see it's even quite tough to cut at this stage. This is fine, but these bigger ones are quite tough. Okay, so we've removed the really hard part, and now the rest of it, we will cut it in kind of like quite thin. Okay, and this will cook. This will take a little while to cook. Okay, so carry on slicing them. You can feel it when you slice. When you get to the tender part, it's a lot easier. Okay. I'll use some of these bowls as I'm here already. Here already. Okay. When you get to the tender part, the bits can be a little bit bigger as well, because it's nice to have some visible bits of asparagus when we finally eat the risotto. But when it's at the bottom and it's the thickest and the hardest part of the asparagus, then slice them thinly, because otherwise they'll be too tough to eat. Okay, we're getting now to the tender part, so I'll do some kind of a bigger, chunkier bits. You know, that's fine when it's tender. Now, this is a dish. It's quite a delicate dish, so I won't be using any cheese with it, okay? Because I like the delicate flavor of the asparagus. You can add a little bit of cheese if you so wish. It's not the end of the world. Feel free. Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about one of the ingredients, which is sage, fresh sage leaves. Now, this is kind of like the problem sometimes of cooking with fresh ingredients. I couldn't find any this morning. I went to 3 different supermarkets and it didn't have any sage. So I'm going to have to do with some dried sage. But if you are lucky enough to find some, that is great, and I'll tell you how to use it. But I love sage. It's got such a rich flavor, earthy flavor, and I think it's really good too. It's not really used enough for cooking, apart from generally for doing stuffing. But we use it quite a lot in different dishes. Like if you remember when we did gnocchi, we use sage to do one of the sauces. Do butter and sage, and sometimes when you got nice ingredients, you can just do very simple cooking, and it's really, really tasty. Okay, so now the asparagus is ready as well. And these, the tips we'll use, as I said, we use a little bit later. You might want to just, if you cut the tips, like sometimes I cut them a little bit long, so we'll cut a little bit more off some of them. Because the tips are going to stay in one piece, on the plate, so we don't really want to have them too big on the plate. Okay, so that will do. These are ready as well. Okay, so oops, I sorry, I dropped one on the floor. So I hope everything is quite straightforward so far. So there shouldn't be any problem. If you have any questions before I start cooking, let me know.
Carol says it's safe to grow in a garden or pot, and she's got a lot of it. Saves supermarket trips.
That's very true. That's very true. It is one of my things. We got lots of herbs in the garden, but we don't have sage, and we need to get some. My grandmother always used it as well. There's ornamental. There's obviously the sage that you use for cooking, but there's also ornamental sage that's grown quite widely in Italy for the flowers. Okay, so let's start cooking the onions. We'll have some extra virgin olive oil. So I put about, I don't normally do this, but I just want to show you so I can tell you exactly what I'm doing. I put about 5 tablespoons of olive oil and turn it on a medium heat. And what I'll do, as I said before, to speed up the process, I just add a pinch of salt.
Is that extra virgin oil? That's what Hillary's asking.
Yes, this is we only use when I talk about olive oil in this house we only use extra virgin. We don't use any other type. Okay, so this will take a few minutes. Now, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Katerina mentioned before, was about what happened with chia seeds, and to be a little bit careful if you use them and if you eat them, because there have been quite a few incidents with them due to what happens with it when they are combined with liquid. You can see here, this is already only been there a few minutes and will get thicker, but this is what happens when you combine it with water. So it becomes very gluey. Now, what happens is that they are absorbing, they're releasing a starch and they're absorbing a lot of water as well. So as you can see, we only add a little bit of, this was the amount of chia seeds that went in there, 50 grams. Okay, look at how big it is now. You know, it has absorbed all of the water that I put in. Okay, and what happens is, what has happened to a few people is that when they eat it sometimes on the cereal or they eat it dry, this can happen inside of your body, and it can get to a point where it blocks the esophagus and nothing goes up or down. And that is then quite dangerous, and it needs to be, you need to seek medical attention. So it's fine to eat chia seeds, you know, once you cook them or once you added liquid, because at the moment, yes, you can eat them like this and it's got no problem whatsoever. But if you eat them dry and then they swell inside of your body, it can cause a lot of problems. Okay, so having done a little warning. This is, the water is boiling here, so I'll just let it come out. this is happily simmering. This is what in Italian we call him to make a soffritto. Okay, when we are just pan frying the vegetables in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, now this has been going for just a minute or two, and now we'll add the asparagus spears, you know, the bits of the chunks. And we let that soften as well. I'll add a little pinch of salt. This is the precious ingredient. Asparagus is so, it's such a lovely ingredient to cook with. But it's also very delicate. Okay, so we want to keep most of the flavor of the asparagus in there. So what I tend to do is that I cover it for a minute so that all the juices don't evaporate too much, but they keep in there. Okay, so when we go now to the next ingredient we'll be using is red wine. So I have this red wine in there, and I'll get a glass. So we need to use about a glass of red wine. That will do. You like something today? You can feel the water from the vegetables here is going back in instead of just evaporating. That's why I put the lid on. So we'll let that going for another minute, and then we'll add the red wine, and I'll keep the rice as well to hand, because that will need to go in next. And they also have your ladle ready, because I will be using to use it for the stock. Okay, just turn this down a little bit. You can see the water there from the vegetables. It's like I can really smell the asparagus. Now, if you're using fresh sage, it doesn't go in yet. As I'm using dry sage, I'll start adding a little bit in now, and I'll use a little bit more later, because this needs to absorb some water.
Right, so Evelyn's asking what other vegetables can you use in Italian risotto apart from asparagus? She's tried courgettes and also mushrooms.
Oh, it's pretty much, Evelyn, any vegetable you can think of can go in risotto, can go in risotto, and there will be some region in Italy where they have used it. So it's just a matter of how to present it at best. For example, peas. In the Veneto region near Venezia and Verona, they use peas quite a lot, and they do what is called, I don't know if you've ever heard it, risi bisi, which says for every grain of rice there will be one pea. So that's the main ingredient is you make a risotto with garden peas. You can make it with you can use leeks. What else? I mean, literally anything. Yeah, courgettes they're using. You can use aubergines as well. Many different types of mushrooms. So it's quite a lot. Basically, most of the things that you can peppers. Peppers, not chilies, but actually peppers. You can use that as well.
Just thank you.
Yeah, and I say if you think of a vegetable, you can use it in risotto. It just like would it taste, really good or not. Obviously, the most successful recipes are the ones that then are then passed on and become famous. Okay, so I'm quite happy now with the asparagus. They already started to. I can feel, when you touch them with your spoon, I can feel that they've already started to soften up a bit. So what we'll do now, we'll add the wine. And we let it, now we let it, what is called in it, this process is called the sfumare, which means we put the wine in and then we let it evaporate. So once the wine is almost pretty much absorbed, then it's ready for the next stage, okay? This adds taste to the dish, but obviously removes all the alcohol. I'll do here, turn the heat on, because obviously I add the cold liquid, which as you can see has stopped a little bit with cooking. It's quite therapeutic to actually to prepare risotto and stir it continuously. It's almost like for me sometimes it's almost like a form of meditation. You can see that the wine now is it's boiling. So we let it evaporate almost completely for a minute or two, and then we'll add the rice. Now the rice, depending on what kind of rice you use, the white rice like I'm using now take about 18-20 minutes to cook. If you're using wholemeal rice risotto, then it takes a lot longer. It takes about 45 minutes. So just bear in mind when you are cooking risotto that if you're cooking wholemeal risotto, it's delicious and it's very nice, but you'll be stirring for a very long time. So put the time aside if that's what you want to do.
Everybody wants to know what type of wine you've used.
Oh, I've used this one, Primitivo del Salento, which is a red wine from the Puglia region. It's quite nice and earthy, and it's not that famous, so it's quite cheap to buy as well, and it's quite strong. This is like 13.5%. So it's one of the really strong wines that normally combine with the meats or strong cheese or that kind of thing. But you can use any type of dry red wine. Okay, it doesn't. When you use it, sometimes in Italy we use the kind of the lower quality wines for cooking, because you wouldn't really want to spend a lot of money on a wine that goes into a cooking pot. Okay, so I'm happy with the wine now. It's almost being absorbed completely. It's almost all gone. So now I want to, while it's still a little bit liquid, I want to add the rice because I want the rice to take. You see, there's still a little bit of liquid in there. Okay, so I love the rice because I want the rice to take the color of the wine. Okay, so. And this is, by the way, the reason why we use the red onion as well. So it's all like the color is part of the dish. Almost like the Italian flag, red, white, and green. So this process at the moment, when we put the rice in dry like this, is kind of like we are toasting the rice slightly, so that it doesn't disintegrate too much as we cook it, and it keeps al dente. Okay, now that I can feel that all the liquid has been absorbed. We can start adding stock. Okay. Okay. And with risotto, we add stock a little bit at a time, like a couple of ladles full, like this. And then we stir. I'll just turn it down a bit now. And we don't let it get too dry. Once it starts getting dry, like now, we add some more. Okay, and for the taste part as well, it's important that you taste the stock just to make sure that you're happy with the salt content. Yeah, it's fine by me. So this is what the salt that's in the stock, which obviously is going to be absorbed by the rice. We can add a little bit at the end if you want, but I'd rather have the right amount of salt in the cooking without adding it at the end. I prefer it. Just tend to regulate a little bit the heat. So we are on a low to medium heat. We want the rice, you can see, to be bubbling happily. So regulate it so that it's not too high. You don't want to burn the rice, but at the same time you don't want to have it simmering too gently, and then it will take a long time to cook.
Maria's asking, when do you add the fresh stage if you want to use that?
We'll add it about halfway through, Maria. Okay, so this way, don't worry about it. I will tell you how to use it, because I'll be adding some more on my dry sage.
Thank you.
It'll be pretty much at the same time as just before we add the asparagus tips. Now, if you meet any of your friends that says that vegan cooking is boring, let them have a look at one of these and tell them this is boring. I mean, there are so many delicious dishes that don't need any meat or cheese or any other animal-based ingredients, and you don't really need it for this, for the taste. If you want to eat it because it's you want to eat it, it's fine.
Wendy wants to know what happens if you don't stir all the time, e.g. if the phone rings, etc.
It's not a huge problem, but it does tend to kind of like stick together into a blob. No, don't never turn it off. Just make sure if you need to answer a phone, add a little bit more stock so that it will take a few minutes to be absorbed, and just leave it on there. That's the way they cook paella. They put it in there and they forget about it. But with risotto, because the actual stirring motion, it releases some of the starch in the rice, so that's what gives it that creaminess. So it's an integral part of of cooking this dish. I said, if you answer the phone, maybe put an extra couple of two or three ladles of stock, and then go and do what you need to do and come back as soon as you can. Now, time. Can you? Okay. I haven't timed this actually. That we're not.
So 12:46 to be exact.
Because I can't remember when the time started. So, I mean, I know that we're not quite halfway. And to just make sure I will taste the rice. And if I can see by the size, and you can see it's very small yet, so he hasn't plumped up yet. I would say about halfway through, so about 9-10 minutes into the cooking. If you're using fresh sage, then start chopping it into very thin strips. And in a minute you can put it in. Okay, I would say about now you should be able to put all your sage in. Maybe if you want to take pictures, keep a leaf or two for decoration. But you can put the sage in now. What I will do, I will add some more, a couple more teaspoons of my dry sage. I mean, it's still sage, so it still smells nice, but so I prefer using the fresh one. Okay. Okay, it's time to add a little bit more stock. With this dish, normally I show you how to do two things at the same time, but with this one, it's not really possible because I can't really leave the risotto alone while I show you how to do the hummus. But luckily, the hummus is very, very quick and it doesn't really require cooking. Just preparing in the blender, so it is not any problem. The base preparation I will show you later for doing hummus can also be used as a base to prepare chickpeas burgers, and a very, very simple to prepare. Just like an extra couple of steps after we've done what we do today, and I can talk you through it. And we've had some actually this week. They were really, really nice, really delicious. Time to have a sip of tea. Couple of drops left of red wine. Okay, as you can see with risotto, you do it as it's starting to dry up, then you add a little bit more stock. It's smelling so good already. Okay, now if I can step back a little, please. Okay, it's time to add now the asparagus tips. So this will take less cooking, obviously. That's why we put them in at the end, because otherwise they will pretty much disintegrate. But we still want them to be in one piece by the time the dish is ready. So we put them in pretty much halfway. You can see now how much. If you do that, you can see how much. Liquid there is. Like now, it's about time to start adding a little bit more stock. Okay, we are almost getting there. A few more minutes and this will be ready. You can see how much also it has. If you, Katrina, if you want to show the outside of the pan, so
you can see it.
this is about, this is about the thickness of the pan, and there's only about a couple of fingers left of room. So the rice has absorbed a lot of water already. That's why you need, if you're using a pan like I'm doing, you need one with a high side. Otherwise, do it in a bigger, kind of like in a pasta cooking pot.
Wendy wants to know whether you can substitute the red wine for white wine.
Yes, you can. You can. I mean, this is kind of like what gives it the interest is a little bit in this dish. But yes, you can do it with white wine as well. It is with white wine. When you do something with wine, white wine will be always a little bit more delicate. Okay, red wine is a little bit stronger in taste. Okay, the taste to see how far we are from cooking. I'll say possibly another 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, very good. Stop. Okay, that's the reason why we have the stock on the stove, is that because, see, you never want to stop the cooking. You can see how it's boiling up here. If you were using cold liquid, then that will stop and will start to, kind of the temperature will need to go up to boiling again. So it wouldn't be good for the cooking process. You can see on the level of the pan here is getting higher and higher and higher as all the stock is absorbed by the rice. There's still at the moment, there's only about another 2 or 3 minutes to wait, but there's nothing else to tell you. Any questions so far that you want to ask me? As I said, there's a little bit of time to be killed, or is everything clear so far? No? No? Okay, good. Excellent. So let's recap on this dish. So we start with chopped onion and about 5 tablespoons of olive oil, and we pan fry for a couple of 2 or 3 minutes, and then we add the harder part of the asparagus peas that we slice thinly, and we cook that for another few minutes until it softens up. At that stage I add a little bit of salt, so that both for the onions and the asparagus, so that it's kind of like it speeds up the cooking process and the time it takes to get a little bit softer. And after I'm happy with the asparagus spears start softening up, I add a glass of red wine, and I let it evaporate mostly. When there's a little bit of liquid left, I then add the rice dry, and again I let it cook for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we start adding the stock. And this is what we've been doing so far. About halfway through, you then add the sage leaves, sliced in thin strips, and a couple of minutes later the asparagus tips that you can see still in one piece. And then you carry on adding stock until it's ready, pretty much, which will be soon. You can see now, I don't know if you can really see the grains of rice now. They look a lot thicker, a lot plumper than they were before. So they have absorbed, and I would say really another minute. So we won't be using all of this stock. There's going to be some left. Just add another couple of ladles. And once this has turned the heat off under the stock, I won't need that anymore. And once this has evaporated, the rice will be ready. Risotto, risotto agli asparagi e il vino rosso. This is the Italian pronunciation. Okay. I must say that risotto is one of my favorite dishes. However you cook it and whatever you put in it, I love the richness of risotto and the creaminess of it. And if we get to Christmas, I got something in store for you. I'm going to teach you a party piece, which will be risotto with champagne. Okay, and it is a party piece because it will be a special surprise on the way that you present it, and you will impress all of your friends and family. So I'm not going to say any more about it. I will keep you on tenterhooks until then. Just a little teaser. So I think it's pretty much done. I just let the
Reese is looking forward to that already. Yay!
Thank you, Maria. Yes, actually, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't cooked it for a long time. It's really lovely. It's really lovely and jolly. It's a fun dish, I'll say, to show your friends. We're not just eating. There's a little bit of showmanship as well. Okay, I'll say all will be revealed in due course.
Catherine says, me too. Oh,
so that would be the week before Christmas.
Oh, Catherine said,
okay.
Me too. I'm glad you're planning things for around Christmas.
Okay, so let's have a look now. Almost literally another minute. We don't want it to go completely dry, so we still want it to be a little bit liquid in there, because as it cools down anyway, it will thicken up. So we don't want it too thick. Okay, so I'm happy with it now, and off it comes. So what we got left to do now is just the final ingredient. So we will plate it up. I tend to leave normally when I put it in the plate. I tend to leave a couple of the asparagus spears at the top. Asparagus tips, so that you can see this. Okay, kind of like on a victory sign. And the final ingredient is a little bit of black pepper. This is if you like it. You might like it, you might not. And really, I just want to no, sorry, this is not working out as I thought. And add some on the side of the plate so you can see it as well. Okay, so this is the finished dish. Let's take a photo with your camera. Okay. Let's see, so that take my feet away, so without falling. Okay, so now the only thing that is left is to have a
A couple of comments. From Maria, looks really inviting. I'm going to be cooking this tomorrow. And then Hilary says, an interesting colour.
It's very hot as well.
And looks like my type of risotto from Evelyn. So lots of nice comments.
It's really lovely. Katerina, I will get you to.
Thank you.
Oh, it's delicious. Very hot though. So, yeah, blow on it a little bit more. Okay, what we'll do now, we'll do the...
Oh, it's lovely.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really lovely taste.
It's to Francesco.
And you don't need them, yeah, you can pass it on to Francesco. You don't need to add any cheese or anything else, because it's kind of like, I like the delicate taste of the asparagus. If you add cheese to it, although it's you know, it's a little bit richer, but then it tends to dominate and you don't taste the asparagus as much. Okay, now let's go see what happened with the chia seed now. They've been going for about an hour now. Look at this. Okay, so it's very, it's like glue pretty much. It's like very thick. It's okay. I've been experimenting with this lately, and I've been using it quite a lot also to make a sort of like a vegan omelets, and it's very versatile. So what I will do now, where is the? Can I have the? Take this. Okay, I'll obviously you need a blender. We use our NutriBullet. So this is the glass NutriBullet. So I'm going to put all of this in the blender. This goes the opposite way. So I'm going to turn it upside down, and I don't want the. Oh, excuse me, this is the pepper. Having as effect. I don't want the chia seed to go straight onto the blades, because otherwise nothing else will get blended. Okay, so I'll go on there. What we need, I'm going to put the chickpeas. Sorry, what I did say before, before doing this stage, I wanted to, because I know that I've done this before and I know exactly the quantity I use. Oh, look at that. Okay, so in there is about 500 grams of cooked chickpeas. Okay, it's 560. So if I take about 3 or 4 tablespoons out, I will make it about 500. Okay. So using 500 grams of chickpeas. Gently. They're going all over the place, hopefully. Okay. Okay, they're all in there now. And I'll add the garlic. So we like quite a lot of garlic in this house, so I'm putting quite a lot in there, but feel free to, this is just by taste. I mean, it's fine even with just 1 or 2. But I put in roughly about 5. Okay. And as I said, we're not going to be using any fat in this to show you this thing. So we just need now the juice of a lemon. So can I get a knife? Let me just cut the lemon. Okay.
All right, I've got a comment. Have a look. From Wendy, you are very dexterous. I would spill quite a few chickpeas everywhere.
That's fine. You won't affect, as long as your kitchen is clean, you won't affect the flavor. Okay, so this is the lemon juice. Oops. Yep, I don't want that in there. I want the lemon seed. Now, getting it out is another thing. There we are. Okay. Okay, all the juice in there. And then we will need some salt. Now, I'm not going to put too much salt because these are already salted. We're just going to have a pinch of salt. And I'll have half a teaspoon of pepper. And we're going to have a bit of paprika. We're going to allow. I have a little bit now, just a tip of a teaspoon, like not even half. And then we're going to use a little bit of this as well at the end to decorate it once it's in the bowl. Okay. So we're at the blades. Okay, so we need the cutting blade. And off we go. You can see, have a look at the effect that the Chia Seeds have. It's like glue. Can you see that? So this is what, you've got to be careful or it doesn't happen when it's inside your body. You will take a little bit of mixing with this. So some more mixing. You might have to use a long spoon just to get all the Chia Seeds on the sides. You can see it hasn't really mixed a lot. While it's open, I might also taste it to see if I need to add any other ingredients. Any more, for example, if you want any more garlic, any more salt, and more pepper. Okay. I will, for example, add a little bit more pepper. Now, wash my hands first. So I've got a little bit more Chia Seeds in there. So I will add a little bit more pepper, just a touch. And also another touch of salt. A pinch of salt. Put this back on. Okay, almost there. Give it another shake. So we didn't want to. I didn't want to add too much liquid in there because I wanted to keep nice and thick. Okay, now this is ready as it is, and I'll show you in a second. Let me go through something else. If you want to, if you're not bothered about the kind of diet side of it, and you prefer to concentrate on taste instead, you can add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, okay, and a tablespoon of sesame oil. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you. I want to show you what it looks like. A quick wash. Okay.
Michaela has a comment. Let me just get it. What are the chia seeds a substitute for? I think it means in the hummus.
Yeah, in the hummus, normally a big part of hummus is olive oil. Okay. In this case, we're using and also olive oil and tahini paste. Tahini paste is made from sesame seeds, and it basically is creamed sesame seeds. So that's the difference. Is using the chia seeds, we don't have to use the tahini paste and the olive oil. Okay, so as you can see here, it is a nice thick cream.
Wendy says sorry, she has to go and to thank. Says thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy, and it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming along. Okay, so this is the final finishing touch with a little bit of paprika to it. So this is the kind of like diet hummus. It doesn't have basically the main ingredients are the chickpeas and a little bit of chia seeds, and then all the other vegetables like the lemon and garlic. So very few, not a lot of calories in there, and it's still got all the taste. So what we'll be doing now, a little taste of this as well. You can see the thickness, which is nice. You know, it's a nice thickness. It's not liquid or anything, so it stays on the spoon, which is what you want. And you can use it the same way as you use hummus, like with bread or with toast, even with making some bruschetta. This is just delicious. It's kind of something that I stumbled upon as I was experimenting with chia seeds, but it's just you know, a really good, tasty and healthy way of doing hummus. And now I'm going to go a little step forward. You like taste that? Now, nice, isn't it?
Very nice.
Now, the other thing you can do with it, you can use this as a base to make some vegetable burgers. Okay, what we do with it, obviously, first of all, we need to get it of a lot thicker consistency than this. And what I do, obviously, we use quite a bit of breadcrumbs. It will be mixed with this until you're happy it's nice and stiff, and you can shape it. And also, together with the breadcrumbs, I would saute some onions, and then add some pine nuts as well. And so you add the onions once you have sauteed them and chopped them up very finely. The pine nuts don't need to any cooking; they just go in there. And also, I will put a lot of vegan parmesan. Okay, and together with the breadcrumbs, it makes a really stiff paste that you can shape in the shape of a burger, and you can cook either in the oven or gently pan fry it with a little bit of either olive or other vegetable oil. And we've had them 2 or 3 times this week, and they're absolutely lovely. And it's something that you can also make in big quantity, and you can freeze, so that when you don't have time to cook, you got something that it's ready, and you can cook straight from frozen. So it's really, really, really simple. So oh yes, the bread. Fortunately, I've been really busy this week, so I didn't have time to prepare some bread last night because I ran out of flour. And I wanted to show you what it looks like once after it's risen. So what we did last week, we put the bread and the flour together and combined them into kind of like a shiny bowl, and then let it rest for about half an hour, and then I added a little bit of salt, like 3 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of honey, and I added about, if I remember, I used 800 grams of flour, 500 grams of water, and then I added 300 grams of what is called muddy yeast, which I will show you. Just get it out of the fridge, I will show you in a second. So this yeast lives in the fridge, you can see, and basically lives in the fridge every 4 or 5 days. I take it out, let it come to room temperature, and then I add flour and water. Okay, and this way it's always what it does. When you do that, then it doubles in size, and you use part of it to cook your recipe, whether it's bread or other things. And the rest then you put back in the fridge. This is the main ingredient for doing a lot of preparations in Italian cooking that require very slow fermentation, not fermentation, lievitare, can't remember the word, rising, when something needs to rise very slowly, and it's the main ingredient, for example, to prepare panettone. Okay. Now this was given to me, so only thing I've done is just kept it alive. But there are several recipes to prepare muddy yeast. None of them are very quick, so it will take a while. So it's a process that takes a few weeks to have that to have this ready to this stage. So if any of you are interested in doing this, because once you've done it, then it will last pretty much forever, but it will take a while to get it to a point where it's ready to use in cooking. And the only things you got in there are water and flour. Okay, so nothing else. So any of you are interested in actually having something like this living in your fridge? No? Too long a process? But I do tell you that.
Oh, Evelyn says I do.
Okay, Evelyn, I will dig out a recipe to prepare the muddy yeast, and I'll email you all, so you can decide if you want to do it or not. But be prepared; it will take a little while to have it ready.
Carol's interested as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so I can email.
Says Maria.
Yeah. Coming out of the woodwork now. Okay, so I will dig out the recipe and send it to you all.
Sorry, let me just
See.
Sue said it sounds the same as my sourdough starter. I made that just from flour and water.
Yes, it is pretty much that. So that it's called mother yeast in Italian, and there are people there it's almost kind of like a religion in itself. People they are kind of like master bakers. I must say I'm not into baking a lot, but we do make our own bread, and it's once you start making your own bread, you never go back because you can't buy it in the shops. It's simply as that. Unless you know a really specialist artisan baker that comes from Italy. Okay, so having said that, are there any questions before we go? That's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. For next week, I was thinking of making cannelloni, but I just wanted to taste the field and see how you feel about it, because you will need making the pasta as well, and you can either use then a pasta machine, or if you don't have one, you will need to use a rolling pin and make the pasta ready for the cannelloni. As in Italy, you can buy the cannelloni already made, but I don't think you can find them here. I mean, I've had a look in the supermarket, in a couple of supermarkets, and I couldn't see them. If any of you can find them, let me know, because it saves a lot of time if we can have the like for example the lasagna sheets. They're already made. You don't need to make them fresh. It saves time if you can make cannelloni like that as well.
Right, we've got some comments. Evelyn says, thank you very much. Your recipes always save my day. And she's making risotto tonight. Maria says, yes, it sounds good about the cannelloni. So does Carol. Hillary and Catherine also say yes, please. Okay,
fantastic. So we'll do the cannelloni next week. I'll check. I need to check my recipe, as I haven't made them for a little while. So what I might need you to do a little bit of preparation though, before you come onto the class. I would like, if possible, if you're coming on, it would be nice if you made them with me. Okay, rather than make them later. You don't need to cook them. You can just make them, prepare them, and then Evelyn, for example, if you want to do them for the evening, you can prepare them and then cook them in the evening. That's fine. But I think it's better if we do them together. Okay. So if there is nothing else, no other questions, I will say goodbye for now. So I'll try and post the video tomorrow. Actually, I posted a video on YouTube for last week, but I haven't had time yet to do the recipe card and posted the video on Genius U. But I'll promise to do that at the weekend.
Okay. Catherine says thank you.
You're very welcome, Catherine, and it's a pleasure to share my dishes with you. As you can see, there are so many to do, so don't worry about it, because I won't run out of things to cook.
Right, lots of thank yous coming through. There's from Catherine, from Carol, from Maria, and Hillary, and Evelyn says, alla prossima, grazie mille. See you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks again for sharing. Sue says, thank you. Looking forward to making this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I would say namaste. It's not Italian, but thank you very much for making my day as well, because by you being there and sharing this with me, it makes me happy.
As so Catherine says, that they are eating risotto tonight. So. Fantastic,
Catherine. Just send me the picture, because I'm hoping that it will come out as nice as the one that we've prepared, because it's really delicious. So good luck, and yeah, let me know how you get on, and if you cook it, then send me some pictures. Okay, or you can put them on a Facebook page. It's perfectly fine. All right, so say goodbye for now, and I will see you again next Saturday, same time, same place.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Evelyn as well. Bye.
Goodbye.